Okay, I have more strange questions.
Okay.
One, it's important to me also. It's again, I have to introduce a concept in order to pose the question.
Sure.
It's the medium of meaning. Like for Husserl, the difference between possibility and actuality. So I think the easiest way to formulate is what Spinoza said. This omnis determinatio est negatio. Everything which is present for my consciousness, everything is always not something else. This is the only way to construct meaning or to grasp meaning.
Right.
And so I would, for Husserl, especially for Luhmann, meaning is the universal medium of everything.
Right.
If we thematize anything or observe whatever, it's all we are in the medium of meaning, and we say this is a wall and not the floor or whatever. This happens. So, and my question, which I really can't answer, is digitality or digital processes like algorithms, do they operate in the medium of meaning?
Right.
Or do they have a proper medium of whatever, of quantity or whatever, I don't know.
Wow, yeah. That is such a good question. I don't really know how to answer that. I guess that if we understand meaning as something that, if we understand it hermeneutically, I think that that you would have to say that it isn't in the realm of meaning, and that's because the way that meaning works, of course, or meaning becomes manifest hermeneutically is through a kind of a cycle, right? In which one is engaged in a world that is always already meaningful, and those meanings change through, and our understandings of those meanings change through experience and things like that. However, on those terms, then something like computer code wouldn't be meaning. I mean, another thing that's interesting about computer code is that it admits of no ambiguity. So any computer language has zero ambiguity. And so if we understand, for example, ambiguity, if we understand meaning as something that somehow is dependent on language, and language is unavoidably ambiguous and associative, then that would be another reason to sort of say that the two things are separate. So whenever
it makes sense, but maybe there are different levels.
Yeah.
That you have this level of this algorithms, but there's also an emergent level or a surface level where digital machines produce behavior, and you can interact with them being surprised. They offer contingency.
Yes.
And so you can start. I guess it's the only explanation for people spending so much time with computers, because computer games and all this, because they experience it as something like communication, and they enter in hermeneutical processes. But you would say it's the whole meaning is attributed by us in this.
Yeah, I mean that's a really difficult question too, because again, computer games are something that work in a way that's combinatorial, and that doesn't sort of reveal or isn't the expression of a single viewpoint or a single kind of horizon that could be reconstructed. You could go into a game and have experiences or undergo combinations of conditions, let's say, that nobody else would have experienced, or nobody else would have actually, produced. So how to understand that? That's very complicated, but or a really good question. But I think in a way we experience these things. We inevitably experience these things hermeneutically, and in terms of meaning. So we don't. So even though they're generated in ways that follow very different logics, somehow we experience them.
Like when we observe a spider which operates in the medium of space, and we think it goes here and not there. So the meaning of this movement is constructed by our observation. This makes sense.
So maybe one could say that it's a result of the incredible human power of projection.
Yes, projection. It's projection. But you would this would make more concrete this question if this would mean we will find no way to operate algorithmically as humans.
That's a good question. Well, I have to say that there has been a very fashionable field, sort of subfield in education called computational thinking.
Okay.
You've heard of that, and it's precisely the attempt to have people think algorithmically, and the kind of cognitive models that are involved in things like self-regulation and various conceptions of how we control ourselves, basically, are incredibly algorithmic in nature. Again, a kind of like almost, they're based on computational models, essentially. And so your question was again whether...
It's a good answer. So there are already modes of computational thinking.
Yes. Well, no. I would say this: that there aren't modes of computational thinking. We want to think there are modes of computational thinking, because I think that nobody regulates themselves in the way that self-regulation models would present. And
we hope so.
Exactly. and if attention could actually be controlled in those ways, then Descartes would have been right, and the world would really be very different.
But a very simple example. I guess if I illustrate her work on love in capitalism, maybe not. I don't know how well known she is. She wrote about this romantic concept of love, how it was very analog concept, and now maybe people really check boxes. With these websites, it's completely digitalized. So you check 124 boxes, and if you have a match of certain percentage, then this is the person. And what she seems to find out is it's not just a tool, but really this might be love then.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be that this is exactly the perception of the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if this is true, this...
Well, not just the perception of the other. I'm assuming that would have status that goes even beyond that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of Fourier and his attempt to reduce or to understand human passions according to a kind of a similar number of passions in the 100, 200, 300s. And I suppose that could be returning. I mean, in the case of something like that, I think that it presents really interesting questions then for us to think about, rather than a way of thinking about love that doesn't just become reduced to some sort of fog or something. Yeah.
And then has some overlapping with the bureaucratization of verwaltete Welt, I would say.
Right.
Because if we think about how do people learn today, how do they study, and it's a kind of examination process which is instrumental throughout, and love could be such a thing. But it's not just a digital phenomenon. I would say it's mainly a phenomenon of the bureaucratic self or bureaucratic world. And digitalization is maybe just a tool which enhances the effectiveness of this problem.
Yeah, I mean, Joseph Weizenbaum said something very similar. I mean, he said that that there has been no computer revolution. What's happened is that we invented a machine that works so well in bureaucracy that is itself so bureaucratic that basically makes these kind of institutions supercharged.
Yeah.